and listeners all around the world. I am Imo Falami. Welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. The Neurodivergent Show is where we discuss everything ADHD, everything being on the spectrum, everything OCD, everything dyslexia. Welcome, Facebook, welcome, Instagram, welcome, YouTube. We're so happy that you have chosen to spend your Friday evening here with us on the Neurodivergent Show. Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the neurodivergent child. The neurodivergent child. Who is a neurodivergent child? Whenever a kid is born, usually would have two types. There is the neurotypical kid, and then there is the neurodivergent kid. Now, you may be wondering, what is the difference? Who is a neurotypical kid and who is a neurodivergent kid? Now, a neurotypical kid, just as the name implies, is just typical. We have all these developmental milestones, and from 3 months and 6 months and 12 months, the neurotypical kid is ticking all the boxes, like all the boxes, and parents are happy and everybody's happy. The neurodivergent kid, on the other hand, may tick some boxes, but then parents are wondering, hmm. The doctors are wondering, Now, the kid is ticking some, but the kid is not ticking other developmental milestone. And so they're like, let's wait. Let's watch the kid. Let's see what happens. And so it's 3 months, it's 6 months, it's 1 year. The neurodivergent kid may be doing things like avoiding eye contact. The neurodivergent kid may not want to be touched. The neurodivergent kid may keep doing things like this, right? They're doing this. And the difference between a neurotypical kid and a neurodivergent kid is a neurotypical kid can do this, right? A baby does this, and they do this, and they do this for like, say, 30 seconds. But you see, the neurodivergent kid will do this, can keep doing this, can keep spinning in circle and spinning in circle for 30 minutes. Are you getting the difference now? So when they say a kid is neurodivergent and a kid is neurotypical, it means that there are certain things that the kid will do that doesn't appear typical. And remember what we talked about last time on the Neurodivergent Show is the fact that they do these things does not make them awkward, does not make them abnormal. It just makes them who they are. Because you see, the neurodivergent kid, his brain's been wired differently. All right? It's like the brain, the system has been configured differently. And that's why they do some of these things that would appear like, we're scratching our head. And as a parent, you know, parents know. You just know. Something tells you like, there's something about this kid. There's something about this kid. And if you've had other kids, if they have siblings, maybe they have older ones or younger ones, you're like, there is just something about this kid I cannot wrap my hands around. That is the neurodivergent kid. And what we are saying on this show is neurodivergent kids. They are here. They are different, but we love them different. Different does not make them abnormal. It does not make them weird. We acknowledge that they are different, and we're not saying, oh, you know what, let's shy away from it or let's deny it. No. We're saying we know. Parents, you know that your kid is different. We know. But all we are saying is, let's love them different. Let's accept them different. Let's be understanding of their needs. Let's not be too quick to judge. Let's not be too quick to stigmatize. Let's give them a little grace, a little latitude. If you're on Instagram, I want to please ask you to join us on Facebook, okay? I'm sorry, join us on YouTube. Please come join us on YouTube. There's so many things we're going to be doing here, and you may not be able to access it just because Instagram is a little bit limited. So join us on YouTube. There's link in the bio. Come join us. Join us one, join us all. Come join us on YouTube. I'm going to be bringing in somebody real quick. She's a registered nurse, has been a registered nurse for quite a while now. I call her a super mom. That's because she's raising a neurodivergent kid in a neurotypical world. And she's not just, she does that with such grace. I tell her, I don't know how you do it, but you have such grace. Her name is Anitra, but today's topic is not just going to be all about Anitra. It's going to be about Anitra's son. Anitra's son. Yeah, Michelle Washington, thank you. She says, thank you, Michelle. Michelle says she is a super mom. She's not even, okay, she is a super mom. Yeah, we're getting the response. Thank you, YouTube. Yeah, thank you, guys. You guys should keep sending your comments and keep sending your, keep hitting the like button, okay? If you're with us on YouTube now, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do that now. Yeah, super mom to really. Thank you guys. Anitra, you're not here already and you have all these people, talking great things about you. It just goes to show what kind of a wonderful person she is. But you know what? We want to say a little bit about Monica. Thank you, Monica. We wanna see who Cole is and just a few things about him. And then after that, Anitra is going to come join us. Please listen. Unmute yourself. Okay, we have the one and only Anitra. Hi,
Hi.
girl.
Hey, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
Mute yourself, though. Yeah, technical things. Have you
Can
unmuted
y'all?
yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We hear Anitra. If you can hear Anitra, let us know. Say, give us. Just let us know in the comment section. Can you hear it? Can you say something, Anitra?
Can you guys hear me?
I think you're muted. Let's try that again. Can you say something?
Can y'all hear me now?
I cannot hear you. But okay, yes. All right.
Oh, they can hear
Yeah,
me?
we can. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good, girl. Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. Can we meet you?
Hmm?
Can we meet you? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so my name is Anitra. My son is Cole. In addition to Cole, I have two older daughters, Karis and Kobe. Um, Cole, I like to tell people when I talk about Cole, I like to tell people that, he came out, it was a fight from the start. We didn't start with neurodivergent. That wasn't the first thing. When Cole was born, that they do a screening, a hearing screening, in the hospital. So we found out Cole, they did the hearing screen on Cole 3 times, and 3 times he failed.
Okay.
So at this point, like I said, this was at birth. He was only a few days old, and at this point, autism, being on the spectrum, all that was so far away from my mind. So I had a C-section with Cole. So usually when you have C-sections, they'll tell you, oh, the baby may have, fluid in their ears or whatever. So we went through all these tests, and he didn't get an official diagnosis of being profoundly deaf until he was like 6 months old. but that's not even the half of it yet. So by this point, he had to get tested for acid reflux. When we went through that test, they did it, they put him under anesthesia and he did some images. So they didn't find any acid reflux, but what they did find, they said, oh, he has some anomalies in his bone structure and everything. Like he had missing ribs, he had fused bones in his neck, scoliosis. Also found out that he had he has two kidneys, but they fused together. Um, so at this point, we had to go to a geneticist, and they diagnosed him with something called, now y'all, I'm a registered nurse. I don't know the long name, so I'm giving y'all the simple name.
I got you,
But
sir.
y'all, it's golden horse syndrome. The name, that was the old name they used for it, but the new name is very, very long. Just take my word for it.
Of
So anyway, now we're here. And usually with golden horse syndrome, if if you look it up, the kids, they have all kind of things, like, some of them are deaf, they have these skin tags, and some of them cause blindness, they have heart issues, kidney problems, these anomalies in their bones and stuff, like Cole had. And one more thing that I forgot to mention. Oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I got it. I'm back. I'm back.
All right.
So the skin tag, back to the skin tag thing. Like I said, when he was born, like I said, Cole, we came out fighting with Cole. Cole, we went home from the hospital. He was born on the 20th of December. We went home from the hospital before Christmas. I had to take him back to the hospital for Christmas. And that's when he had one of these skin tags. But his was in the back of his head. It was leaking. He had on a little white Christmas onesie, and it had like it was soiled in the back. And I was telling, my mom was there. I was like, "Hey," I said, "something is leaking from his head." I had even told the nurses, though, before I left the hospital, that something was wrong with his head. That's another story for another day. But they was like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." So I ended up taking him to the emergency room because that fluid was, like, it was discolored and everything. Well, they thought it was an infection and all, but they did images on it. So at 6 months old, he had to have surgery. He had to have that skin tag removed.
Wow.
And what was supposed to be, like, the neurosurgeon said, oh, it'll be about an hour. It was 3 hours because the skin tag had it had penetrated, you know and it had attached to the covering. It penetrated his skull and attached to the covering of his brain.
Wow.
So it was a little more intense. But when they removed it and stuff, it was benign.
Mm.
So now, fast forward back to all these, other issues. Like I said, we're not even to neurodivergent yet.
Wow.
So Cole, he's still under the care of quite a few doctors. We also found out that his heart, he has a narrow aorta. So they thought they would have to do surgery on that. We thought that we'd have to do surgery on the neck. He wore a neck brace for a little while when he was a little one, before he started walking, because they were afraid that like the instability in his neck would cause damage to his spinal cord, and of course he wouldn't be able to walk, so he had to wear a neck brace. And even I remember going through all that. The surgeon that was looking at him, he said he had never, saw a case like that. And before they did surgery, which I'm grateful for, because I was praying, like I said, it was just one thing after another. He said, before they do surgery, he wants to consult, with other colleagues and stuff. And that's what he did. So that's what kind of, we would just go see him every 6 months. We had to see this a neurosurgeon for the neck. We had to see an orthopedic doctor for the like the scoliosis and everything. We started seeing a kidney doctor for the fused kidneys, and we started seeing a cardiologist for the narrow aorta. And every time we go to the cardiologist, he has to do an echo test. But thankfully, like I said, we're at going on 12 years now. So we used to go every 6 months, then it turned to every year. and now we're at every 2 years. And I think, possibly our next appointments with all these specialists will be the last, because he's fine. He didn't have to have any surgeries. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
So, to give y'all a little background, so we started in the midst of all this. We started, we got our diagnosis of being profoundly deaf at 6 months. So I never, like I said, and I neuro like autism or any of that was so far from my mind. I did notice things, but I didn't know anything. If you would have asked me then what autism looked like, I would have said kids walking on their tippy toes, and
Right.
that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I knew. That's all I knew about it. Even though I had a classmate, who was on the spectrum, but if you know anything about the spectrum, all these kids, they are so different. They are so different. Some of them,
Yeah.
go ahead,
That's why,
Emo.
that's why they say if you've met one neurodivergent kid, you have met one neurodivergent kid, right?
Hmm.
Not met all the neurodivergent kids, because it's a just autism, it's a very wide, broad spectrum. And what you just presented right now about Coley, I how are you? How Anitra, how are you?
So this, like I said, literally a roller coaster. And every time I share, I share this story with him, I get so emotional about it. Like I couldn't, it was a time I couldn't talk about this, without crying, because it was so, oh my goodness, it was so hard. It was like one thing after the other.
I am so go ahead. So neurodivergence as a whole, many people do not understand it, right? And you've said some of the things Coles presented, and apart from the medical things, it also has autism going on and all.
Hmm.
When did you find out it was autistic? At what point? And did you accept it? Because there's so many parents out there
Hmm.
that have got autistic kids, right? Or
Hmm.
kids that are different. One of the things Cole had is he had so many medical problems. So I guess I don't know how acceptance was for you, but when you got the autism diagnosis, what was that like for you, real quick?
Honestly, it felt like it was a cakewalk at that point. Well, I
Right.
shouldn't say a cakewalk, but it didn't. Like I wasn't in denial or anything, because, like I said, he had so much other stuff going on, and like how old? So we found out that I think he was almost 4 years old when we found out, because all this time we thought that some of his behaviors was just because he was deaf. Like and he did when he was younger. He didn't make eye contact with people. Um,
Make
he
eye
he
contact. Yeah.
he did not make eye contact.
Okay.
Um,
What else did you
he he used to he used to spin in circles.
spin in
He had,
circles? Okay.
yeah, self harm behavior.
Self
And
behavior.
he was like he had a motor in him, and like he just wouldn't stop. He just used to just run around, busy, busy,
Run
busy. And
spin
I
around.
know my mama on here, she probably saying Cole's still like that, which he is, but that was some of the things. And then the fixation on single objects and stuff.
Fixate
And
things.
and I and another thing, he used to, like, when we used to leave the house when he was a toddler, we used to have to bring a cooking spoon, a hanger, um, a little yellow rattle. It was all these, and we had to get in the car with all this stuff. He had all this stuff in his hands that he just wouldn't let go of. He used to line, these kids, they like patterns and stuff. And he used to, I remember he used to line spoons up or line our shoes up and put them in a particular pattern. The hangers, he's still fixated on the hangers. I don't know what it is about the clothing hangers, but
I think to
he
baby face is so fearless. So, parents out there, you heard Anitra mention some of the things you may see if you have a kid that is neurodivergent, and I'm going to go ahead and reiterate some of those things. If your kid is neurodivergent, you may see early on that they're not making eye contact with you. right?
Mhm.
Like they don't, some kids, they don't want to be cuddled, they don't want to be touched, right? They just want you to leave them. And some kid, on the other hand, because it's a very broad spectrum, some kids want you to touch them, they want you to touch them every
Mhm.
time. They have this, they actually like the pressure, like they want you to touch them and tickle them. Some kids that are neurodivergent will spin in circles. Some kids that are neurodivergent will fixate on things. Sometimes they have cars, they line up the cars, and
Mhm.
they can line up the cars. You said spoons, they can just line them up and fixate on them for hours. Right?
Mhm.
If you're seeing things like that in your kid may be neurodivergent. And I know many people will tell you, oh, they're going to outgrow them. Oh, don't start making things, don't start making a fuss out of everything. But what we're saying on this show is recognize the signs early.
Mhm.
And in recognizing the sign early, know that even if your kid may be neurodivergent, it's okay, right? Anitra, it's okay.
It is, yeah. It's
Okay.
okay, and it's also, okay to the parents. I think it is. I was working at a daycare, so that's when I, started like these. I saw kids that had diagnosis, and that's what kind of really got the ball rolling with us questioning Cole. But I noticed also that the kids that like we're talking about, have all these signs and symptoms. Are they not talking? Like scream. Some of them scream all the time, because it's a sensory thing. Like, noise just irritates them, goes against their
Anitra,
skin.
just 1 second though. We're getting feedback that there's some kind of echo. If you're listening to us right now and you feel like there's something echoing back, like there's a feedback, can you please let us know in the comment section, please? Just let us know what's the sound like right now. Is the sound good? Is it okay? I want to see the comment. Let's get feedback, because some people are saying there is some kind of feedback going on. Can you put it down in the comment? Let's see what's going on so we can make adjustments. Okay, while we're waiting on that, definitely an echo. Okay, there is definitely an echo. Instagram, we're going to have to ask you to please come join us on YouTube. Okay, sometimes it so happens, like, these connections and everything just goes sideways, so please. Anitra has our YouTube link in her bio, and she has it. I think we also put it down. Just find it on the Neurodivergent Show. Find us on YouTube, it's the Neurodivergent Show. On Instagram, also, it's the Neurodivergent Show. We're going to have to disconnect Instagram for now so that we can focus solely on YouTube. So, Anitra, we're going to have to disconnect our Instagram. Okay.
Okay.
You're hearing echo when I'm talking. Can we go ahead and disconnect our Instagram? Let's go ahead and do that. Find us. It's the Neurodivergent Show on YouTube. Please come find us. Link is in bio. The Neurodivergent Show on YouTube. Thank you. Anitra, you can go ahead and disconnect your Instagram now.
Okay.
Have you been able to?
Yeah, I'm off.
Okay, so let's do that again. Any feedback? Any echo? Are we good now, or is it still the same? Let's see. Is it better now? Any echo? Any feedback? Are we good? Are we better in terms of sounds and all? Anitra, do you have your YouTube on?
No, I'm not on YouTube.
You're not on YouTube?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Uh, Something is going on with our connection. Technical issue. Please bear with us. We're technical things. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Okay. Let's see. Can you turn down your? You still hear feedback? Okay. It could be from my end. Anything? Is it better now? Let's see if it's better now. Is it better? You still hear feedback? Okay. Let's see.
I wonder if it's these. I have my earpiece on.
Okay. I'm taking out things that may be causing it. Just let's say same. It could be coming from another device. Is there any other let's see. Please bear with us. These are technical things that just come up from time to time. We're trying to fix it. All right, Anitra, can you go ahead and take out your earpiece? Thank you, guys. It stopped. Okay, we heard it stopped.
Oh,
It
okay. How
stopped.
is it? I took.
Are we good now? Stop for a quick second. I think we're good now, right? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your understanding. Yeah, thank you. We're good now. Please, thank you for staying for sticking with us through that. It's better now. Everything's good now. And if it continues, just let us know in the comment section. We're good. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, Anitra. So let's get back to where we were talking about understanding neurodivergence, understanding better.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much. All
yeah.
right.
You were.
Understanding just the early signs and understanding that even if your kid is different, of course, it's going to take you a while to accept it because, of course, difference is very strange and can be very scary. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It can be very scary. But we still need to acknowledge that our kids are different and we have to love them different and accept them different. Acceptance, acknowledgement, those are the very first part we have to go through. Go ahead, Anitra. I feel like you have something else you want to add.
Yeah, I was just, saying like, for the parents, that's, that's normal. Like when I was working at that daycare, they had a lot of parents, that, their kids, were different and, they were just, in denial about it. And I think that that's, a normal reaction to something like that, because it's, and it's unknown and it's scary. And especially if you don't know about autism. Like I said, all I knew was tippy toes, but they have so many different things that come with that. Some kids are really violent with it. Some are verbal, some are non-verbal, and I think that that's scary. That's scary to parents, and it, like, some kids, they even have some kids, they start off talking and then they lose speech. And then they have, the other end of that, like some of them, they don't talk, say their first word until they're 3 or 4 years old.
Right,
It's, all over the
right.
place. But, like I was saying, not to take away from anybody's journey or anything, the implication, what I want, parents to know is like what you were saying earlier. There's nothing, these kids are special. It's
Yeah,
nothing with them that needs to be fixed. They're not broken. This,
mm,
they're just different. This is who they
yeah,
are. And we do, in a fair world, they do need more accommodations. Like, like the child care thing. Me and you talked about that a couple weeks ago, and again last night, how it's
yes,
hard to find child care for these kids, and it feels like rejection
it
to
does.
you. It feels like rejection.
It does. Now let's go ahead and discuss the um what has it been like for you in terms of implications? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Yeah, in
good.
terms of implications, um, let's start with the financial implications, okay?
Mm.
What has the financial implication be raising a neurodivergent kid?
So when Cole first got his diagnosis, they have something called ABA therapy, applied behavioral analysis therapy. Um, but it wasn't readily available. It's very, very expensive. And when Cole got his diagnosis, I was on Medicaid. I was working. I had just started going to school and everything for nursing. And Medicaid wasn't paying for
applied behavioral analysis. And just to give y'all, when I started working at the hospital, just to give y'all an idea of how much that this can cost. With my insurance, I would still be paying $700 a month out of pocket for halftime,
Wow.
8 to 12. That's it. Just to give you guys an idea. It's and unfortunately with with Medicaid, you don't always have access to the best therapists and everything, and I'm already a single mom, but I know that some families like this diagnosis. I'm in like support groups and stuff on Facebook, and even with it's a financial burden
Right.
to to two-parent homes. I know, because sometimes just to manage the kid, one parent has to quit a job to stay home and take care of the kid. you know um or they both working to get the good insurance to pay for all the therapies, because these kids, they go to speech therapy, they go to occupational therapy, they go to physical therapy, they go to food therapy, music therapy, like just anything under the sun.
Right.
They help them out and stuff. And then, like I say, you add on top of that childcare and everything. That's a whole nother ball game
It
when you
is.
can get childcare. But it
Now
is
you
a
mentioned ABA therapy. I know people that attend ABA therapy, and it's so, how is it that something that is so beneficial to a neurodivergent kid is almost inaccessible?
I I have no
I
idea,
mean, with
because
your
yeah,
insurance and everything, you're still supposed to pay $700.
700, and that's not even, that's just halftime, because they recommended that Cole go all day from like a school day, 8 to 3, or eight, I think, either 8 to 3 or 8 to 4 or something
Right.
like that. And they said anything you can do, which was halftime, and just that halftime, Monday through Thursday, not even Monday through Friday, $700 a month.
Can we see some of the financial implication? We're getting somewhere with this because we want people to understand exactly what it means to raise a neurodivergent kid in this neurotypical world, and how many parents have to go through through this. Now, you have something that may be beneficial to your kid, and you have to go through hoops. And I'm told that even the ABA therapy, it's so hard to get in. They're so
It,
selective.
mm-hmm.
But the thing, what's strange is you have so many of these kids around. You have a lot of neurodivergent kids, and resources are just so limited. We don't have the resources, and even if the resources are there, it's almost hard to access. And even if they're accessible, it's very expensive.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, now they have a new, and I like I said, I haven't deep dived in that or anything, but they have a new school of thought with this. Some people don't even like ABA therapy for
Yeah,
their kids, because
I
they said,
agree.
yeah, they saying that's kind of goes along the lines of trying to fix them.
Yes. And you know
Yeah.
what? We're going to have that argument on this show one day, because many people are for ABA, many people are against ABA. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
parent that and you have a neurodivergent kid, can you please let us know how impactful ABA has been? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Has it been helpful? Has it been hurtful? Let us know in the comment box down. Just give us your general thoughts and your general perspective about ABA, because we've had so many things. Some are for it, some are against it. But let's just say ABA is good and ABA is great for those that feel like that is. It's almost inaccessible. I have friends that are they've been on the waiting list for years, and this
Yeah.
is what's supposed to help your kid.
Mm-hmm. And that's
A senior auditor says ABA, your spot is not guaranteed. They can kick you out at any time, even with your money.
Oh,
to
wow.
something so beneficial to the. It's a society that is not prepared. We're so not prepared for neurodivergent kids. Parents that have neurodivergent kid, they struggle. I'll share my experience. Sometimes ago, I took my kids to the daycare and everything was great and we were good and everything was fine. Then my kids started. How? They just were not going to sit. My kids, I mean, now they're like, they're outgrowing some things because they're maturing and they just feel like, they want to do
Mm-hmm.
some things. But they just wouldn't sit. So my kids learn by touching, by feeling. So they want to learn their ABCs, but they want to feel things while learning and they want to move around and walk around. And the daycare wasn't having it. Like, you're going to sit. That's the way it is. That's the way everything's been programmed. And so they kept complaining and complaining. Why your kid doesn't sit? Okay, fine. So one day they outrightly told me and my husband that they're going to kick our kids out, our twin boys. And you know what? That day when they told me, I was outside. I was listening, and I just started crying. I just started crying because I felt like it was so unfair. I mean, it's just a society that they don't get it. And the truth of the matter is that I'm not blaming the daycare, because if I had a daycare and I do not have enough resources to care for kids, and there's the thing with safety, we're going to talk about safety and neurodivergent kid.
Mm-hmm.
But should the best thing be just outrightly just rejecting them? Like, should that be the solution? Eventually, with the daycare, we reached a compromise. We're like, okay, we'll pay you something, we'll pay you some so that we can have like an external person come watch them, just because they have, more needs and stuff. And that worked out well, while it did. But there's so many parents out there that have neurodivergent kids. And the society is just so unfair to them. They're so unfair to them. I have friends that call me, they're rejecting their kids, they're speaking ill about their kids, they're they are condemning their kids. The school is not accepting, the society is not accepting of them. And I wonder what that does to a kid, though. Just rejection. Just because you're different, you're rejected. Just because you're different, you're rejected. Let's talk about the implication with family, now extended family. How has it been raising Cole? Have people been understanding? Have they given you some grace, some latitude?
Well, again, like I said, to give grace, you kind of gotta understand, what's going on. And I think, early on, people just, they just didn't understand because, like I said, when little kids, when they're little and you want them to sit and you want them to do what you want them to do, is spank, spank, spank. Spanking, first of all, spanking don't work on every kid.
Uh-uh.
Because if spanking work, you spank them one time and they're not gonna do it again, right? But then what happened? And it's a neurotypical kid, they do the same thing over and over. And here you are, so now what is this spanking or beating? With neurodivergent kids, they process things so different. For me personally, with Cole, with him, and this is not making excuses for him. Like I said, this is me interacting with him on a daily basis. He is also missing that component of sound. Well, this is when he's younger. Now he's getting older, so his understanding is better. But imagine a toddler that because how kids learn, they learn from hearing. Imagine a toddler that already getting all this feedback and all this sensory input to their brain, and on top of that, he can't hear. So it was just running around. And of course, and not just from family, you just hear this from random people. Oh, I will whip that butt. Oh, he need to be spanked. Oh, he need this, he need that. Well, guess what? that don't work for him. It just doesn't. Like I said, some neurotypical kids, even neurotypical, neurodivergent kids, they all different. And my therapist said something last week. She said you have to figure out the kids' currency, what makes them, what encourages them and stuff. That's gonna be different with every kid.
It will.
But like I said, raising him, you have to understand how these kids work. And I know that there's a school of thought that and I hear this like with people that have neurodivergent kids, don't treat them no different. It's not about treating them different, but you have to treat them in a way that works for them. You can't treat them like this neurodivergent kid over here. You can't treat them like this neurotypical kid over here. You have to figure out
Because they've got
what works
different
for that
needs.
particular kid. And that takes patience and understanding and grace.
The number to call if you want to be a part of our show is 817 935 9734. 817 935 9734. Please, whenever you call, do remember to mute your YouTube so that we can prevent any kind of echo. And also, please do leave a comment in our comment in the session there. Leave a comment, just in the box there. Just leave a comment. Tell us what you feel if you've raised a neurodivergent kid. We missed a call. Can you please kindly call us back? Um, so that we just had a caller, we missed her. Kindly call us back so that we can answer the call and you can be a part of our show. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and read some comment here. Um, Tiffany says, so true. Let's take this out. Tiffany says, so true. Meet them where their needs are. Absolutely, we agree. Meet them where their needs are. Meet them where their needs are. Absolutely. Our kids are different. Neurodivergent kids are different. Meet them where their needs are. Um, Sarah says it's definitely a 50-50 with ABA therapy. It's
Mm.
definitely a 50-50 with ABA therapy. Let's answer this caller. Let's do that again. Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Or would you like to remain anonymous?
You can say my name. My name is Taiwo.
All
I'm
right,
calling from
Tyro.
Fort Worth, Texas.
All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, my name is Taiwo, and I have a son that's neurodivergent. He is 5 years old.
Okay.
Um, so we found out about all this when we went for his 18-month appointment, and the doctor said that he wasn't talking, and he wasn't looking at the doctor. And the doctor said, "Oh, have you ever heard of autism?" And I'm like, "What is she talking about?" And she said, "Well," I'm like, why do you ask me that?" She said, "I think we can consider that because he's not looking at me and he seems a little bit timid. He's not playing with me." And I said, "Well, his dad is very gentle, so maybe it takes after his dad." And she goes, "Well, he's not talking either." And I said, "Well, he's the firstborn, so maybe give him some time and he'll talk." She's like, "Yeah, I'll just put a referral to ECI so they can start working on him." And I said, "I don't need that." But the doctor put in a referral anyway. Then I went home. I'm like, I mean, I've heard about autism before, but it's different when you hear about it, and then when you now have a child who has it. All the things I thought what autism was very different from what it actually is. So we went home. I was looking up stuff. I was in denial for a while, and then ECI called me. ECI is a government. It's called Early
Mm-hmm.
Childhood Intervention. It's like a branch. It's like a government organization that helps with children with autism, ADHD, children on the spectrum generally. So they called me, and at first I'm like, I don't need it. My child is fine. I mean, it was just 18 months. And then I was like, they said, just call us back if you change your mind. So I was like, well, I don't have anything to lose. So I called them back, and then they set everything up. Said we're going to come to the house and look at the boy and see what his needs are. And ECI was really great. At that point, I didn't start ECI yet. The doctor told us to start speech therapy, and we will go to somewhere called Monkey Mouse to have. But I wasn't. I'm like, just give this boy time. I don't think there's a big deal, in all this. But ECI would come to our house, and that was when we started saying things. There's some things that you take for granted in the child. Some things you're not even like eye contact. I didn't think it was a big deal. But as I saying that my son doesn't look at me when I talk, when I call, then he doesn't answer to his. He didn't used to answer to his name. When you call him, he would just look away, and then he didn't have good eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped point. And the funny thing is this: he had all these signs right at 18 months. I felt. I mean, I'm a nurse. I probably shouldn't be saying this. I felt like I saw changes in him after he got his 18-month-old vaccine.
Okay.
Before he got the vaccine, he was pointing, he was looking at us. And immediately he got that vaccine, I felt like something just changed. And then he would just like make this high pitched sounds, you know. So I thought it was a connection to the vaccine, but I might be wrong. Doctors say that sometimes these kids just regress at a certain age. Not the, just it just happens to be a coincidence that you got a vaccine at that point. Anyway, so we did ECI. They used to come to the house and they told us about things we should watch out for, tell us why they think is on the spectrum. First of all, I think when you're on the spectrum, it's three basic things: speech, communication, and social. I think your social interaction and something else. He wasn't social. He doesn't really play with other kids as much. He would just watch them. He wasn't interested in other kids, and he wasn't talking. He wasn't making one word. So and eye contact was part of social interaction. So ECI would come to our house, I think once or twice a week. They started teaching us things like the first thing was before we could even get him to do anything, we had to establish eye contact. We had to come down to his level when we were talking to him. We have to teach him how to start pointing. We have to talk to him more than, I mean, so his ECI was good until three. We took him to a school because then they started getting worried because they started seeing all these things we were pointing out. Because those things you don't even think there's a big deal if somebody tells you.
Right.
And then we tried to take him to a Montessori school because they teach, being independent and all that. And then because he wasn't talking, I found out that the principal of the school was kind of bullying him. I mean, he couldn't tell us what was going on. He would go to school and come back, and they would say that he was throwing tantrums and he had bruises. But in the house, he wasn't having these bruises. He wasn't. I mean, in the morning, it was fine, and then you come back and you tell me that he had a bruise already. I took him up at 9, and at 9:30, you're telling me you already got a bruise. So I
Mm.
felt like the principal saw that he had special needs, and they couldn't handle. They didn't have the capacity to take care of him, and they started just making up excuses for him. So I went in there. She told me that yeah, your son has something. You should try ECI. At that point, I was already considering ECI. It was just that the way she went about it wasn't too good, so I left. And then it was usually really sad times. Like sometimes I would just be in the house and I would just start crying because I didn't know what to do. I've heard autism. It was just Google all the time. Google, Google, Google. And sometimes the community doesn't help. Like, I'm African. I'm in an African community, and there's so much ignorance about neurodivergency and kids on the spectrum. And they'll just say something sometimes that will just really piss you off. I've had to tell people at first I was being this nice person, but this was my first child, and if you have a kid on the spectrum, they're gonna have to be their advocates because some people will just be really out of
Mm-hmm.
line.
Right.
So at some point I
Yep.
became really, really firm. I was firm with family members, I was firm with church members. I was firm when people say things, I would don't do that. And then after a while I was no longer in denial. I had to embrace who he was. So instead of me snapping at those people, I'll teach them. When they say something, I'll say, no, it's not like that. I've had to tell off like close family members. Someone told me, oh, the reason your son is not talking is because you don't communicate with him. You don't talk to him. I'm like, okay, so who do I talk to? You? Do you live in my house? I've been talking to that boy since he was in my belly. Okay, so don't do that. Don't say that. People like to lay blames. I think when you're a child on the spectrum, it is nobody's fault. I've had friends who think they caused it. My friend said, oh, it's because I didn't eat right when I was pregnant. I said, I ate right, and my son is still on the spectrum. So it's not because of anything you did. It is just who that child is. So anyway, we did ECI, and then ECI works until they're 3 years old, and they transition to the school district, the ISD. And then COVID happened, so we couldn't go to school. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Right.
virtual learning. And then after COVID, we started going to school. And then we heard about ABA, which is more of behavioral therapy. But I've had friends at work and everywhere that have kids on the spectrum, but every child is just different. Some kids, it's their social interaction. It's really, really bad. Some kids, it's behaviors. My son, it's speech. He's 5 years old. He's never said mommy. He's almost six, really. He's never said mommy and he's never said daddy. Some kids on the spectrum and they can talk, but it's something else. It's social interaction. It's
Right.
different things.
Right.
For him, Behavior wise, it's not so bad, but the speech is really bad because it just makes sound.
Right.
So that really, makes him just think. When he's when I started EC, I had to have I had to have a good relationship with the lady who was coming, to speech therapist and other therapists, because they would tell me things out. Like there were so many terms like him stimming. Sometimes
Still.
it's because he's maybe understimulated
Right.
or overstimulated.
Right.
In simple terms, he might be just bored, and when he's bored, he's just like, so we have to find something
To
for him
regulate.
to do. There was a time he liked to chew on his shirt, and the teacher told us that it's because he's not stimulated, that we can just give him something else to chew on instead of his shirt. So some things we learned that we didn't have to thank him for. Some things he did, I had to try to understand. When he does something, I want to understand the reason he's doing that thing. That way I can know how to fix it.
Right.
In the African culture, we like to spank kids a lot, but with him, I have to decide. Okay, sometimes I'll spank him when he's being naughty. I mean, he's still a child; he'll be naughty sometimes.
Right.
But I always try to understand the reason he does things before I go spanking him. So he went to school for a year, and somebody told us about ABA. So we tried ABA. I didn't want to try ABA before because it's kind of dicey. People talk about how ABA is like abusing the child because they're trying to change that child.
Right.
And some parents think if my child is neurodivergent, I'm not trying to make them in quote normal.
Right.
If that's the way they are, that's the way they are. They feel like it's torture when you're trying
Typical.
to change that child.
Yes.
And that's why people don't like to go for ABA therapy. But there's some behaviors that we just want him to function fine in a regular society. And like Anitra said, ABA is very, very expensive. It
It
is
is.
like, if
Yeah.
you look at how much they're billing our insurance every week, it's about over 4,000 per week.
Woo.
In a
Wow.
month, it's about $16,000 per month.
Wow.
With
Uh-huh.
my insurance, we have a deductible, and after the
Mhm.
deductible, we have a max out of pocket. So for each child,
Wow.
once you reach a max out of pocket, if you pay up to 4,000 out of pocket,
Wow.
insurance starts to pay 100%. So of
Yeah.
course, if you in the first month, if they're billing you 16,000, and I pay my deductible of 2,000, and insurance pays only 80%. I mean, I'm already paying like almost 6,000 in the first one anyway. But the good thing is that the max we can pay out of pocket is 4,000. So we just pay that 4,000 upfront, and for the rest of the year, everything is just covered.
Hmm.
I mean, so, but not everybody can do that. I have friends who want ABA
Right.
therapy, but they have Medicaid, and ABA doesn't take Medicaid, which is really unfair.
So
So it's
they, so
Anitra
they
is saying something.
still,
Go ahead, girl.
they, no, I
yeah,
wanted to ask, she's still on the line?
Yes, she is. Go ahead. Can you
So
hear
they,
Anitra?
because I
yeah,
thought
I can
that,
hear you.
yeah, I thought that Medicaid, so they're still not covering ABA therapy?
They don't cover ABA
Wow.
right now. I don't know any ABA therapies that's covered by Medicaid. I don't. I think because of the I mean, it's almost 16,000 every month. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then for us, my son really needed speech therapy. I mean, with a kid on the spectrum, the mom, not just the mom, the parents have to be big advocates because with ABA doesn't come with speech
Mhm.
therapy, and speech is big for my child. So we have to go look for a speech therapy, and insurance is just full of it because then they'll say, oh, this is not covered. I have to look for it. Say this is in network, and this is, and even besides the ABA, my son goes 40 hours a week because he needed that 40 hours.
Mhm.
But speech also is expensive because for a session of that's like 30 minutes, it costs $125 if you're gonna pay
Yeah.
out of pocket. So if you're going every week, I mean just twice a week, that's a $250. So in a month, it was $1,000 for just 30
All
minutes,
of,
really.
Wow.
So
all
I
those
had
there.
to sit down on the computer, and it took me hours. I went on the insurance website to look for speech therapy. I found nothing, nothing. I looked online and Google speech therapists. Most of them have ABA and they want you to be in their ABA program. Nobody went, there was no standalone speech therapy.
Wow.
But then luckily for me, because when these things happen, sometimes you're going to do your best, but you're also going to follow with prayers. So
Right.
I always pray about, I'm like, God, just lead me to the right place. I mean, even when my son was in school, the school district wasn't the best, but I told my husband, I said, it's nice to be in a good school district, but you can be in a school district and your son will still not have a good experience. I'm just praying for whatever district, but let my child have a good experience. And we're so lucky when he was in the school district. His teacher was so nice. She was so good to him. Even after we left the school to go do ABA, she followed me on social media. We have a relationship just because of him. So it wasn't the best, it wasn't an excellent school district, but God kind of directed us to have, a teacher that we could talk to. So yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So with ADA, I had to go search for speech. I called. I had them. We said I had to come to the center, and my son was going to the ADA from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. from Monday through Friday. There was no way I could take him to speech, because by the time I picked him up and I took him there, they probably closed because they're doing office hours too, and I had to work. So one of the places that I called, the person I left a message. The person called me back, and I wasn't picking. I didn't pick up the phone. Then she left me a message and said, "Oh, we don't offer speech out of the facility, but you can call this home health speech company." It was it was her who helped me find that. I didn't even talk to her. She just left me a message. So I
Mm,
called these people. They're called Green Apple. They're like a home health speech therapy place. So you just tell them if you want them to come to the house or you want them to go to a
right.
facility. So they could come to the house, but we weren't. I mean, it wasn't even home anyway. So I said, I have to do, make an arrangement where she will go see him at the facility, and she goes there twice. And that was the only. Luckily, before that, the ABA place found me in speech therapy, but they were out of network, and that's another huge insurance. Insurance wouldn't pay out of 125 every session.
Wow.
Insurance would pay like $20, which makes no sense. So I
Makes
had
no
to go
sense.
look for. Luckily for me, Green Apple was in. I guess they're very very big, so they look at where you're living, and they have a speech therapist who comes around there. And she's been so great. She has to help my son get a device to help him communicate.
Hmm.
So yeah, so she would go there
That's
twice a week, and she would. I had a phone number, and she would. Yeah, and even with the ABA, like
I can't hear. Mm.
way, once because ABA works to make the child function in a regular surrounding. Like my son, for example, he couldn't sit still at the table. They worked on that, making sure that he can sit still. If it's in a classroom, he can sit. Now they want to work on how he can raise his hand when he wants to go to the bathroom. Right now, he will just get up and go. But in a classroom setting, you're required to do those things. They have circle times in school. They work on, and they started. I'll give you an example of the goals. They
hmm.
have a family guidance with us every week. They say, okay, the goal. What are the Initially, they asked us what our concerns are about him and what goals we want. We told them
Hmm.
about some of the behaviors they were showing. So, for example, he doesn't like to stand in line. They'll
Right.
start making him do that. They'll say, okay, we're going to stand here for 10, they can stand for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So they won't just rush the child into, oh, you must stand. They start it gradually. We're going to try 5 seconds for maybe like some weeks. Once he can do that, they proceed to 10 seconds and
Hmm.
then 20 seconds. For example, he's
All right.
answering to
Hold
his
on.
name
Hold on.
now.
Hold on. Hold on, Tyro. Just give us 1 second. Someone here
Okay.
says we can't hear. Is that true for everybody
I
or
I couldn't hear. I went out for a little while too. I can hear now.
okay?
But
All right. I
yeah.
think we can hear now.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I
So
think we're good now. Go ahead.
yeah.
And
So
then
if they'll make
hold
they'll
on one
make little
second,
goals.
Sarah. We're gonna take an extra 10 to 12 minutes just because we had that technical thing, so we can hear everybody out,
Oh,
So please bear with us. So we're gonna take like some extra 15 minutes, okay, so that we can, have that discussion and just make sure that, it's working now.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's basically it. So they would make it seems like little things like for him just Tim, like, can you answer your name? They want to call his name and they want him to answer. They'll try once in a while. They want, and then once it starts, responding to his name in the room. They try to take him out of the room and see if they can call him out of the room and respond. So it seems like little things,
Right.
but it's those little things that take him to a classroom setting. All ABA is trying to work on is how that child can. Because for my other friends said that a child won't sit in the classroom and the
Right.
teachers complain. That's one thing ABA works with. When Timothy started, he was always frustrated when they put him at the table and they gave him 5 seconds. It was a task. But now you can see it. And actually, recently we traveled out of the country, out of the state, went to Florida.
The sound went out again.
And I think that was part of the ABA therapy.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. And since they're not gonna pay, they said that they might not pay for 40 hours. We're thinking of maybe doing half school and half. I was thinking maybe go to school twice a week and go to
Mm,
ABA 3 times, or
three
the other
times a
way.
week. Yeah.
But the teacher said that it's best if we do half of each. Go to
Okay.
school the first half. That way they can tell you what is having problem with, and then when it goes to the ABA, they'll work on it.
Wow, Taiwo, that's a lot. And I'm
Yeah.
so thankful that you were so brave enough to share that with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for breaking it down for us. Thank you for telling us your son's, walking us through his journey and letting us know what you've been through is progress, and your concerns about ABA and the growth you've seen with ABA. And thank you so much. Thank you
No
for
problem.
your honesty. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
And
Anitra,
You're
Anitra
welcome.
was going to say something.
yeah, say another thing like with the sometimes getting a diagnosis. Like I said, I got colds. I don't know how it works now, but like I said at the time I was on Medicaid, but from my understanding, it doesn't matter that it can take a while. When cold, I did ECI too, and that's how I had that experience speech therapy, that therapist that thought that Cole might be autistic, and that's when I pursued it with the school first, and they had the school psychologist evaluate him. But when you go to these different centers, like for speech, ABA, OT, they want they want a psychiatrist, um a diagnosis from a psychiatrist. So for me, I had to go to the Child Study Center in Fort Worth, and guess how long it was before I can get an appointment? 1 year.
Oh, wow.
1 year. Mm-hmm. And so like I said, I don't know how it is now, but one of the places that evaluated him where I was trying to do ABA, he was doing his speech and OT therapy at the place. They had to evaluate. They charge sometimes for that evaluation. It's an out of pocket charge. Some insurances don't cover that extra charge. So
Well, this night we've unloaded a lot. we have we've unloaded a lot tonight. We had Taiwo call us, telling us about uh, son's neurodivergence journey. And if there is anything you've taken from some of the things she said, it's not been easy. It's been very hard. The truth of the matter is, it is very hard raising a neurodivergent kid in this world, because the world's been set up for neurodivergent people. I'm sorry, the world has been set up by neurotypical people for neurotypical people. I want to address two people before we leave tonight. I want to address other parents, other parents that have neurotypical children. You've had from Anitra and you've had from Taiwo. Raising a neurodivergent kid is very hard. And so, what I'm going to ask you as a parent of a neurotypical child is, please, I've seen this happen over and over again. Stop with the judgment. When you go to a park and you see a kid having a full blown meltdown, please don't roll your eyes. Please don't. Because many of these kids are not having meltdown because they want to have meltdown. They're not throwing tantrums. It's what's going on in their brain. This night, I'm asking, or this evening, I'm asking for a little grace, a little less judgment. I'm also going to be addressing the society as a whole. You've had the struggles. It is so difficult to raise a neurodivergent kid in this world. So please, as churches, as school centers, as any place as playground. Let's start thinking about neurodivergent children. Please, let's start. Therapies are expensive. That's if you get it anyway. You have to be on the wait list. Compiled with that, you have to deal with a child that has these needs you have to meet that's not typical. Let's start preparing for these kids because we have a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anitra, if you can take the next 1 minute to just give us a final word. Can you move backwards a little bit? I think you're very close to the camera. If you can just move.
For me.
Okay, go ahead. That's good.
So just to piggyback, off of what Emo was saying, just have some grace for these parents, for these kids. Teach your children to have grace, and that just tell them they living in a world where everybody won't be like them. I remember I used to tell my sister, sometimes going out is exhausting because people just staring all the time, and they can't help it. It's still exhausting though. But just, if you stare a little long, just say hi, wave or stuff. Acknowledge the kid, acknowledge the parent, and just be kind. Be kind to them, be kind to the parents, be kind to the kids, and just mind your business.
Mind your business. That's a good one. The fact
Yeah.
that you have a kid that does not throw or does that. Okay, let's do this. The fact that you have a kid that doesn't, have this full blown meltdown doesn't mean that you're doing something right and other parents are doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that you have a kid that is neurotypical and some people have a neurodivergent kid. And there is nothing wrong with that neurodivergent kid. The kid is just having a moment because that's the way their brain's wired. So, as a society, we've heard from parents, we've heard how difficult it can be living in this world, raising neurodivergent kid. And so let's be kind to one another. Let's be gracious. Let's be more accepting. When you get to a church, when you're out there and you see a kid and the kid just just bear with them, bear with the kids, bear just be kind and be nice. All right, that's our show tonight. I want to thank everybody for sticking around. Sticking around to the end. Thank you so much. You all are amazing. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that right now. Don't leave without subscribing because we're going to be back next week. And by next week, we shouldn't have any technical problem. We will try our best to make sure that, everything goes smoothly. But hey, that's life. Some things you cannot control. So thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany says very good show. Before I go, I'm just going to go around and read some comments. All right, this is hashtag stop the judgment. Thanks, Sam Fola. Yes, Tiffany. Thank you, Tiffany. Um, Taiwo says yes. It's hard getting a diagnosis. We had to travel. They had to travel to get a diagnosis. Um, Okay, Sarah was just confirming that it's back. And then I have one from Kende. Kende says the benefits of early screening cannot be overemphasized. If you notice anything out of normal with your kid, ask, ask, and don't stop asking until you get your answers. That's a beautiful one. Thank you so much. And I think I read this one from Sarah. Sarah says, yes, thank you, caller, for pointing that out. Autism can look so different with different children. Tiffany says, thank you all for sharing your stories. Thank you. This one says, thank you for the insight on raising a neurodivergent child. Absolutely. And the conversation doesn't have to end here. This show, it's something, but you at home can even do better. You can educate somebody, and that person can educate another person. And with that, we just keep raising awareness about the neurodivergent community. Because if each one can reach one and each one can teach one, what a better place our community will be. And that's from my friend Chad. Thank you all for spending your evening here with us. I appreciate you and I thank you, thank you, thank you. See you back next week, okay? Do not forget, hit the subscribe button, like the show. Thank you. Like our channel and spread the word. Share the link, okay? Share the link to many people and then invite others to come join us because we're going to be live this time, 7 p.m. next week, Friday. Our show airs every 7 p.m. Fridays. Thank you. Excellent show. Keep doing a great job, Anitra. Thank you, Anitra. We appreciate you. Big ups to Anitra. Girl. And thank you, Tyro, for calling in. Thank you all, everyone that's texted, that has, everything you've done tonight. Appreciate you. Okay, I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name. It says BJ Adech Photo. Please forgive me for that pronunciation. A little empathy goes a long way. Absolutely. A little empathy goes a long way. And that's our show tonight. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourselves a good night rest. Bye bye.